Hi everybody, my name is Mayra Perdomo and I'm seeking to make documentaries on Indigenous tribes and ancestors of ancient tribes to learn their history of the world, their healing practices, if they're willing to share, because a lot of them keep it to themselves, their views of climate change and how it's affecting them, and then their views of big business and how that corporation coming into their area, possibly mining resources, how that's affected them as well. My goal is to travel to different countries from Tibet to meet with the monks and any spiritual gurus or seekers that live there, India in different regions to learn from elders that are there, as well as gurus as well, Africa to go to different tribes in different areas, specifically the safe ones, because I'm really not trying to put myself in danger. But I do want to get as much information as I can as I travel. In South America, from Brazil, Chile, Argentina, to see if we can talk to any of the Amazonian tribes or any of the indigenous people of that area, including Central America. The Polynesian Islands, I would love to travel there and see their history of the world, because a lot of people say they come from an area that used to be called Mu, which is supposed to be Lemuria, if you know anything about Atlantis and Lemuria. So it would be interesting to see their version of the world and their history, as well as their healing techniques and how climate change is affecting them, because I'm aware that the sea levels are rising and it's taking off a lot of their beach area, and as the sea levels rise, their land mass is shrinking, and then they're going to be relocated because they're not going to be able to stay on the island. I know the Maldives is sinking, and that is actually, they say it should be gone in 10 years. I don't think it's going to be 10 years, but that's what they're projecting from an article that I read. And then traveling to China and learning from as many ancient wise individuals that are willing to teach me any herbal medicines, how they came across, acupuncture, just different topics when it comes to healing the body, their version of the history of the world, as well as just anything that they have to share, because I feel like we are all the same people. We all just choose to do things differently because of the region that we were raised in. So in some regions, we all have the same ailments and sicknesses, but we deal with them differently. And we all have a version of the history of the world. And I find that a lot of Indigenous and Native Americans, as well as ancient ancestors, people who are still connected to what was the ancient ancestors, like people who are connected to the Incas or the Aztecs or the Mayas, their versions are very similar, especially when it comes to India and the Catholic religion. And it's just interesting to see how they tell it, but also what they believe, and how it's been passed on, and then how it's changed so much, because everything that we're discovering and we're inventing has already been discovered and invented. We've just lost that information. So it's very interesting to see which tribes remember this information or have stories of this information, and how they choose to carry it on, or why they've chosen to let that form of technology go. So aside from that, I want to learn how different herbal remedies can help, because I believe that pharmaceutical companies derive all of their medications from natural ingredients, but you're not able to patent a natural ingredient. So what they do is they create a synthesized version of it, and then they produce this in mass and they offer it to the public as medicine. I believe in holistic healing and healing the person from within, because sometimes trauma or emotional pain can manifest in the body as disease. And if you can find that source and then work your way forward, you're able to heal the person. However, I do believe in modern medicine and doctors and the pharmaceutical companies, because if you have something like bronchitis or pneumonia, antibiotics is important. I wouldn't play with holistic medicine when somebody has pneumonia, because you could die, and that is not the key. Take the medicine, take whatever it is they're giving you in the hospital. If you have bronchitis or certain infections, heal yourself that way, and then we'll worry about healing from within later. But it's really important to make sure that you know the difference, or rather, as I make these documentaries, you'll be learning. This will be raw footage. There'll be no editing, meaning I'm not going to film it 2 or 3 times to get the right shot. You know, either we get it or we don't. Either we understand the information or we don't. So it's basically how it's going to be. It's going to be an online documentary, because as much as I would love to get funding from television stations, I'm afraid that they would edit it in a way that has nothing to do with my vision. I would be streaming, you know, some things, and other things I would be uploading throughout, you know, the journey, which will last anywhere from, you know, 1 week in each city to 1 month, depending on what it is they're willing to share with me and how long they're willing to have me. I'm very excited to do this. This is something that has like a buzzing in my ear, that every time I go away from it, the universe brings me back to it. So I feel like this is really something that I'm destined to do. This is something that I know I can do. I've been to 26 countries, so traveling for me is amazing. It's something that I love to do. It is my passion. And to be able to now take this holistic journey, I've been studying crystal healing, and I'm getting into Reiki. I'm taking Reiki 1 now, and I want to help people. You know, I'm certified in Tantra, and I really believe that a lot of things that we have to deal with are emotional or mental. But for the things that are physical, I would like to learn more. And I don't want to learn it from a school, which I admire and respect, because I feel like they do kind of limit their teachings to things that they can they can teach the masses, because they don't want to break any violations or laws. And I believe in that as well. But I believe also that Indigenous people have practices that are very effective, that can help people in ways that we don't know because we don't know about them. And that's what I want to learn, especially when it comes to herbs. And when it comes to, like, if you cut yourself or hurt yourself in the wilderness, how would you survive? I think all those things are so fascinating. Things that we're not really taught, but when you're out there, you would like to know, right? So this is basically what I want to do with my life, for at least for the next 4 to 5 years, if I can get the funding for that long. Any funding, donations, anything that you guys can offer would be used for hotels, airfare, tips, food, room and board, wherever I'm going, donations, because I believe that you should donate to the tribe, the village, or the people that are welcoming you. As well as, if I can get a camera guy, that would be awesome, because I would just be using a tripod and my equipment. If you guys have equipment to donate, that's always welcome. Any connections that you have to or anybody who's watching this that's like, oh, well, my cousin is descended from the Incas, you can go visit them. I would appreciate that information and that connection, because it saves me time, and it is a contact that it's easier to get in the door. I'm not trying to risk my life doing this. I don't want to visit tribes that have the potential to kill me. That is not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get those 4 pieces of information and anything that they're willing to share, and then actually show people how climate change is really affecting these people, as well as learning from them, because I feel like we are all one people. We all do things differently because of where we were born and what we have access to. I think we all, if you are religious, worship the same God, but in different ways. And it would be very interesting to see how those stories actually lock, like how they're how they're the same and how they're different and why they're different. Because sometimes it's interpretation, and sometimes remember these stories were passed on verbally, so you lose that. You know, and I've been watching a lot of stories on the history of India, and I find that a lot of other countries and religions have pulled from the history of India, especially the Mahabharata. So it's a passion. I'm a truth seeker, and I want to help people, and I want to help the world. And I feel like the way to bridge this gap of separation, how they've tried to divide us, is to unite us and to show us, the world, how we are more similar than different, and that we all came from these indigenous tribes at some point before we became civilized. Even though some of them are actually more civilized than we are, because they treat each other better. So it just, you'll see. But I hope that you can help in whatever way, whether it's information, donations, if you have a place that I can stay in while I'm there and you're willing to let me stay there, that's awesome. I would totally appreciate that. And that's basically what I'm trying to do. Oh, also some of the funding, because I want to be full disclosure, would cover my rent here to make sure that when I come back in between trips, I have a place, to come back to. So, obviously since I'm abroad, I'm not going to need food or anything else, but at least my rent would be covered while I'm abroad. So I do want to mention that because I do want full disclosure. Thank you very much. I'm really excited about this. I'm so unbelievably passionate. I do talk fast, and I will be talking slower because when I'm in a foreign country, I know they don't understand me, and I'm going to have to speak slow, but it's just that I'm so excited that I just want to get it all out. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey, or at least this part. And thank you for anything that you can offer. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful and a blessed day, and get excited. Things are going to happen. Bye.